How are you?
Oh, a little nervous.
Well, I promise I will make this as easy for you as possible.
Thank you. I mean, I bet it's fine. It's strange. We just worked on this movie for so long, and then suddenly, like, it's here, and I'm like, is it actually happening this time next week? We would have already had our premiere and on, and it feels strange.
Well, I will tell you this, you shouldn't be nervous because it's a great movie. It
Oh,
really is
thank
a great
you.
movie. I enjoyed it from start to finish. I've said it in every single interview that I went in thinking it was just going to be, another raunchy girl gal trip type thing. And I was like, I'm not a huge fan of those. And so when I went into this and I was like, oh, this is not what I expected it, I loved every second of it. So kudos to you, the whole entire team. It is really a great movie.
Oh my God, thank you. Thank you so much. I love that. I mean, because I'm just like now I'm hearing about it because I've been like living in this like hole and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my God, the thing that you want, it's like I've been a movie producer for a long time. And so I'm so used to like calming down my directors and all their insecurity. And now I'm like, oh my God, I am that person.
Now I understand.
Yeah.
So tell me, how did you become a part of this movie? How did you get to be directing it?
Gosh, so as I said, I'd been a producer for a while, and someone I had worked for, at HBO many years ago, she had left HBO after like 40 some years and was starting a production company and met me for lunch and said, I wanted your advice on like, we have this great script and we want to attach a director, ideally a woman. It's a film about four girlfriends. And do you have recommendations? And I was like, I always have recommendations. I love giving, a whole list. And then when we were catching up, I did say, like, listen, I didn't expect to produce as much when I went to NYU for grad school for film. I also studied writing and directing. I mean, granted, I did the double MFA and MBA program, um, which is just, I think, a master's in indecision. But um, I kind of then said, can I pitch myself for it? Can I read it? I love comedies. I mean, I'm proud of the acclaimed dramas I've produced that have gone to Venice, Sundance, and Berlin that like a small iota of the population have watched. And so the notion of like there being a comedy about like girlfriends at like this kind of interesting flux, time in their lives was something that really resonated with me. And I read the script and then I pitched for it like as anyone would, and to both the producers, then to the writers, and then we embarked on this like adventure together ourselves of getting it made. So
And it's here now. It's here. And I think one of the things I really loved about the movie was obviously the story, but a lot of times in movies and in TV, you'll find a lot of scenes are just filler, throwaway scenes. You don't need it, it's a waste of time. You guys did an amazing job of using those filler scenes to show the food and people eating at the festival and all of that, which one made me very hungry at the end. But I thought that was just perfect transition scenes, perfect ways of, getting them in there. So can you tell me a little bit about how you guys made that decision to use those scenes rather than, oh, let's just throw in maybe a scene between Taylor and Lizzie real fast or a no nonsense scene that means nothing?
yeah, I think we wanted. I mean, there's a lot of Christina and Carrie, the writers, did an incredible job. But I also love improv, and I think our actors, in our rehearsals and our time spent together or the times that they spent with each other really brought incredible ideas to make these characters their own. And because, we're not of the age of these characters, I really kind of relied on them and said, make this feel like how you speak and how your character would speak and what makes sense. And so I think that collaboration is really what you see on the screen in many ways. And because, to make a ensemble comedy in like 20, 21 days um, is really challenging because you have to hit like beats and the jokes. And my cinematographer, Matt Mendelson, and I would, because, we both went to NYU together and, we're also editors, like we're trained in all of these things. Like we would sit in this, like we were filming at the height of COVID in the midst of a heat wave, and Matt and I sat in this little kind of, you know, flagged box type situation with our monitor, and he would sit there with his walkie talkie, and the two of us had our screen, and we were, you know, we would watch it. And because while watching it, I'm watching it and I'm like, oh, and I'm very clear when I feel like we have it, because I also know how it's going to cut together. And I remember the first week of production was incredibly hard. Like, I mean, making a movie is like, you should give yourself an award for even finishing it. And the first week was so hard. And I just spent my first weekend just cutting all the scenes together. Like, I just stayed in my hotel room and I edited everything because I needed to understand if we had everything and if things were working. And that really helped me kind of know how to continue on for the next few weeks, and to like make a beat adjustment. I'm like, this thing is not clarified, and I would go to the writers. I'm like, actually, now based on this thing, I have a couple of suggestions. I think we have to add this moment. And we were able to do those things because it was, we had to be flexible, because on a budget, the irony, right, is like, if you're kind of open to like adjustments while you're in production, then you're able to possibly get everything you need, because you're not going to have the budget to do, you know, reshoots of scenes, possibly. And so I think sometimes the more kind of willing you are to kind of be open to those ideas, the better it can be for a project. Even though you're saying like the edit was so tight and so on, but I think with, yeah, it's kind of this like thing that you're kind of forming as you're going along.
Well, and it takes a lot of trust too, from not only from you, but also from your team surrounding you. They have to trust you. They have to trust where your vision is going. So as a director, you're the basically team captain. Everyone is looking at you. So how do you build that trust to get the followers to follow on with what you're saying? We've got 21 days, 20 days to get this done. How do we make it the best of the best?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think it, yes, I think sometimes as a director, there's this feeling that you're the leader of this kind of ship. But I think it's really important, and this was definitely a tough production, but the idea, you know, you hope that you can really let everyone feel like empowered to bring ideas, and that your department heads can really also, you know, instill that in their teams, because that's what's going to make the experience. Um, and so, yeah, I think I generally, like, on set, whether, you know, it was on this movie or like on a commercial or music video or anything else I'm working on, I think I try and stay very calm and open, and you just have to um, make everyone feel like heard, you know, in the creative process, that, you know, as long as it also still is in alignment with the vision that you have. And I would say like that openness, I think, is how I like to work. You know, when I did 73 Questions, which was a series for Vogue, I was brought to Condé Nast to help rethink the content for Vogue. And 73 Questions was the first thing I produced. And I remember we were standing in Sarah Jessica Parker's house, and this was something I do constantly. I made everyone stand in a circle, and I said, everyone has to introduce themselves and say their name and what they're doing, because we're not strangers here. Um, and you kind of set like ground rules, and even the talent is doing that too. So it's like, I'm Sarah Jessica Parker, I'm Reese Witherspoon, you know, and then you have your production assistants having the same space. And I think, you know, or anyone on the crew, and I think that that's really important, to make everyone feel like they are a part of this thing with you together. That's how I like to work, and I hope to work. And of course, it's easier to do like, you know, a 73 question shoot than, you know, a feature film, because there's a lot more stuff kind of like falling apart, and you're quickly trying to figure out how to put it together. But that's what one aspires to do.
Well, for you, I think the nice thing is you've said, reminded everyone the common goal. We're all here for the same reason. we're all here to shoot the movie or to shoot the 73 questions. No one here is any higher or any lower than anyone. And that's me as a true leader. So kudos to you for having that ability and wanting to do that. But my final question for you today is, what are you hoping fans get from the new movie?
Gosh, I think what I hope, people will take out of the film is that there is a beauty and joy in friendship. And in this case, in particular, friendship amongst women. I think we're in a really dark, divisive time right now. And, friendships are falling apart because of differing opinions. And it's really sad. And I think a film like this hopefully is a reminder of like how we need to lean more into joy. We need to give each other space and be a little kinder because of different feelings that people are having that may be different, and how we should figure it out together and understand where some of those perspectives are coming from and have the space to also possibly educate and learn from each other and why. And that's really what I hope this movie conveys, is that, friendships, in spite of everything, should be the things that will sustain us and keep us going. Because we're not going to solve the world's problems by becoming Instagram activists, really. And we can have and should speak up for, again, when you're confronted with injustice. We always should. I always advocate for that, because that's something I do very actively. But I wouldn't be anywhere if it wasn't for, really great friends.
Perfect. Thank you so much for speaking with me. I hope it wasn't as hard as you did.
No, it's great. It's so fun. It's so funny to finally be, doing an interview about this film, because I'm like, oh my God.
It
Wild.
actually exists. It's here.
Yeah. And, tomorrow we have this screening and Chelsea Clinton is moderating the Q&A, and yeah, so I'm like, Chelsea, don't ask like really hard questions, because she's like she's a super nerd. So I'm like, oh no. But
well, enjoy it. You guys deserve it. You deserve this. So enjoy everything that happens between the next week. I'm really excited for everyone to see the movie. It's a great one. So kudos to you guys for
thank you. Thank you.